The day I let my sister-in-law borrow my car, she crashed it. There was no apology, no acceptance of responsibility. Instead, my mother-in-law declared in front of everyone, "A woman like you has no business driving a car like that." My lazy, incompetent husband remained silent, as always. And just like the man who had a history of affairs and accidents, he suggested we just let this one go. I didn't say a word. I simply canceled the family credit card that night. 12 hours later, the calls from my in-laws began, ringing off the hook. Here is today's story. The quiet hum of a 2 p.m. afternoon in the office was broken by a call from my sister-in-law, Jessica. As the controller for a mid-sized corporation, I was buried in a mountain of invoices, but I answered. Jessica's voice was as demanding as ever. "Helen, I need to meet a friend, like, right now. Can I use your car? Mine's in the shop, Kevin's at work, and I've got no way to get around." Without looking up from my paperwork, I asked casually, "What's it for? And how long will you need it?" "Oh, it's just an important meeting. I'll have it back by dinner. It won't be long." I hesitated for a moment. It was a Lexus ES 350 registered in my name. I had just renewed the auto insurance last week, and the memory of budgeting for that premium flashed through my mind. But before I could answer, Jessica added with unshakable confidence, "Your silence is a yes, so I'll take it as a yes. The key is in the usual spot on the shoe rack, right? Thanks, Helen. You're a lifesaver." The line went dead. It was a declaration, not a request. I stared at the blank screen for a moment before turning back to my computer. There were too many numbers on my screen to deal with emotions. To me, this was less an outrage and more an unexpected variable. At 6 p.m., my husband, Kevin, came home earlier than usual. He tossed his briefcase on the sofa and asked, "Honey, did you let Jessica borrow the car today?" I was talking to Mom earlier, and she said Jessica left all excited. "Yes," I replied calmly, preparing dinner in the kitchen. "She said she'd have it back by evening." "Great. You're okay with that, right?" I was a little worried since I know how much you care about that car, but I appreciate you being so understanding for my sister's sake. I closed the refrigerator door and looked my husband straight in the eye. "She already took the car. What's the point of asking if I'm okay with it now? Did you tell her to take it?" "No, I was just checking." "Why are you so on edge?" "It's just family sharing a car," Kevin muttered, grabbing the remote and turning on the TV. As I set the plates on the table, I asked again, "Did you check the insurance? You said you renewed it. Is Jessica covered to drive it?" Without taking his eyes off the screen, Kevin answered dismissively, "Oh, yeah, I took care of that last week. It's a family plan. So, stop worrying. You make everything so complicated." That's when the phone rang. It was just after 8 p.m., a call from my mother-in-law, Susan. As soon as I answered, her booming voice filled the air. "Helen, I hear you lent Jessica the car today. Good for you. That car should be shared within the family anyway. It's about time the daughter-in-law showed some generosity." My hand froze. A family car? I was the one paying for every cent of the maintenance, insurance, and monthly payments for my own salary. "Susan, that car is legally mine, registered in my name. I'm a bit taken aback by you calling it a family car." Susan's tone immediately sharpened. "Who cares whose name is on the title? What's with this yours and mine nonsense in a family? You're putting on airs. Jessica has a child and a social life to maintain. She needs a respectable car to be seen in. You get a company car. So what are you complaining about?" "Susan, my company car is for business use only. And if you needed my personal car, you should have asked me in advance." "What's this in advance nonsense? Jessica called and asked you. She got your permission. Why are you making such a fuss? And let's be honest, is a woman like you even in the same league as that Lexus? It looks much better with someone glamorous like Jessica behind the wheel. Don't you dare look down on your in-laws just because you handle a little money." Having said her piece, Susan hung up without waiting for a reply. I blankly lowered the phone. The words, "You're not even in the same league as that car," echoed in my head. At that moment, Kevin, who was getting a glass of water from the fridge, chimed in. "That was Mom, right? What did she say?" "Hope Jessica's having fun with the car. Your mother says I'm not in the same league as that car. She said it suits your sister better." Kevin paused mid-sip, then let out a small laugh. "Come on, Mom's just a little blunt. But she's not wrong, is she? You just use it for your commute. Jessica meets a lot of people. It's good for her image. Why are you making such a big deal out of lending a car once? This isn't about making a deal. This is a problem. Is it normal for someone to take my car without my explicit permission and for you all to act like it's your right? She's taken it before when she was in a bind, last month and the month before that. Kevin slammed his glass on the table. So what? Are you going to be petty and forbid her from using it now? Does it hurt you that much to help out family? Give it a rest. You're exhausting. He stormed off into the living room, leaving me alone at the dining table. I thought calmly. The order in this family had already collapsed. It was after 10 p.m. when the front door opened and Jessica walked in, her arms laden with shopping bags from a high-end department store. I'm back, Helen. That car drives like a dream. You can really tell the difference with a nice car. She tossed the car key onto the table and threw herself onto the sofa. I asked coldly, I thought you were meeting a friend. What's with all the shopping bags? Oh, after dinner with my friends, we just popped into the mall. There were so many cute things. Hey, you're not going anywhere tomorrow, are you? Can I borrow it again? You said you'd have it back by dinner. Keep your promises next time. And the car is full of trash and coffee cups. My car is not a garbage can. Jessica scowled in annoyance. God, Helen, you're so sensitive. I'll just take it to a car wash tomorrow and get it detailed. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. After she left, I grabbed the key and went outside. A quick inspection of the car revealed cookie crumbs on the passenger seat and a half-empty coffee cup rolling around in the back. Worse, a receipt from her shopping spree was jammed into the cup holder. I picked it up. Then, I took out my phone and checked the family credit card usage. The amount Jessica had charged at the department store, $1,580. The transaction alert had already arrived, but my expression didn't change as I stared at the number. No more. Instead of screaming and letting my emotions take over, I decided to end this absurd relationship in the coldest, most precise way possible. The reality they would face tomorrow morning would be entirely different from yesterday. The next day, during my lunch break, I sat in a corner of the company cafeteria, put down my fork, and opened my phone. My finger, habitually scrolling through social media, stopped dead on Jessica's account. In the photo, Jessica was smiling brightly in front of an opulent downtown department store, her hand covering her mouth in a feigned gasp of joy. In her hands were 5 or 6 shopping bags from luxury brands anyone would recognize. The upload time, 3 p.m. yesterday. The hashtags were full of boasts. Number good luck today. Number major haul number. This is the only place to shop. I calmly zoomed in on the picture. The entrance to the parking garage and the gleaming front of my Lexus were clearly visible in the background. At the very time she claimed to be in a rush for an important meeting with a friend, Jessica had been enjoying a leisurely shopping spree. A cold smile touched my lips as I screenshotted the image. The date and time stamped on the photo became the perfect evidence of their blatant lies. Around 4 p.m., a call came from my husband, Kevin. I could sense something was wrong from the slight tremor in his voice. Honey, where are you? Are you busy? I'm at work. Where else would I be? What's wrong? I replied indifferently, organizing some payment documents. Well, Jessica, she got into an accident yesterday while using your car. He rushed to add. Don't worry too much. It wasn't a major crash, just a minor fender bender. The bumper is a little scratched and dented. That's all. Even the word accident didn't faze me. In fact, the calculator in my head just started running faster. An accident? Where? Exactly. Where was it? I think she said somewhere downtown. I was so flustered I didn't catch the details. Kevin was being deliberately vague. I stared at the selfie of Jessica on my desk and asked again. I'm asking you where downtown. I need the location of the accident to file an insurance claim. I don't know the exact location. Jessica's so shaken up she can barely speak. Why don't you ask her yourself? The priority right now is to calm her down. Where is she now? And what's the status of the insurance claim? Kevin hesitated for a long time, then sighed and changed the subject. Look, the insurance thing is a bit complicated. It's too much to explain over the phone. Let's talk when you get home from work, okay? It's not appropriate to discuss this stuff at your office. Instead of replying, I hung up and sent a text to Jessica. I heard about the accident. Why didn't you say anything yesterday? Are you okay? As expected, there was no reply. The silence from the perpetrator to the victim always meant they had something to hide. I left work right at 6 p.m. As soon as I walked into the house, I saw my mother-in-law, Susan, occupying the living room sofa. The moment she saw me, her face contorted into a scowl of indignation. Susan, I didn't know you were coming over. What's going on? What do you mean? What's going on? There's a crisis in the family, and you expect me to just sit at home? I'm here because of Jessica's accident. Her tone held no trace of apology. It was confrontational, as if looking for a fight. I put down my bag and sat on the opposite sofa. Kevin stood nervously beside his mother, avoiding my gaze. What kind of accident was it that you had to come all the way over? And where's Jessica? Jessica is lying down in her room. She was so terrified. Her face is pale, and she can't even eat. Apparently, she was waiting at a red light, and someone just rear-ended her. It wasn't our Jessica's fault at all. So don't you worry. At Susan's words, I narrowed my eyes. If she was rear-ended, that's 100% the other driver's fault. Why is the insurance claim complicated? All you have to do is get their claim number and take the car to the shop. It's simple. As Kevin fidgeted and looked away, Susan crossed her arms defiantly. As it turns out, the other driver was uninsured. Can you believe it? So talking to them is pointless. We won't get any money. It's better to just process it through our own insurance first. Uninsured? You don't see many uninsured cars these days. What bad luck. But Susan, what time exactly did the accident happen? She said it was around 3:30 p.m. yesterday, at that intersection near the downtown mall. As if I had been waiting for that cue, I pulled out my phone and held up the screenshot right in front of Susan's face. Then how do you explain this, Susan? This is a picture of Jessica holding shopping bags in front of that very mall at 3 p.m., 30 minutes before the supposed accident. She took my car, saying she was meeting a friend. But it looks like she was having a great time buying expensive bags. Susan's face flushed red, then purple. She was clearly flustered by the unexpected evidence, but quickly resorted to her usual stubbornness. So what? She can stop by the store for a minute on her way to meet a friend. What does that have to do with the accident? It has everything to do with it. She lied. And these bags? They were bought with a family card I pay for. I see a charge for $1,580 from the department store yesterday. So, your daughter borrowed my car, used my credit card to go shopping, and then got into an accident. Kevin jumped in anxiously. Helen, that's not what's important right now. The car is damaged, and she could have been hurt. How can you attack her over a few dollars? A few dollars? Is my car and $1,580 of my money a joke to you? Why should I have to be considerate of someone who lied to use my property for her own pleasure? It was Susan who finally exploded. She slammed her hand on the sofa and shot up, screaming. Yes, Jessica used it. So what? Are you going to lord one car over us? Did you really think a woman like you was in the same league as that Lexus? A car shines when someone glamorous like Jessica drives it. Maybe the car itself felt wasted on you, and that's why it got into an accident. At Susan's vile words, I felt a strange sense of clarity. The emotional sludge washed away, leaving only the trash that needed to be taken out. I slowly rose to my feet. Picking up my bag and heading for the door, I spoke in a very low, calm voice. Thank you for your words, Susan. Since you believe I'm not in the league to drive that car, I'll go and sort things out to match my station. Where are you going at this hour? Helen, Kevin shouted from behind me, but I didn't look back. As I closed the front door, my steps felt lighter than ever. Once in my car, I started the engine and immediately opened my banking app. I navigated to the credit card management menu and, without hesitation, tapped a button. A message popped up on the screen. Authorized users Jessica Miller and Kevin Miller. Card usage suspended. You're going to pay it all back. This is just the beginning. A cold smile played on my lips as I drove away, completely indifferent to the chaos that would engulf my in-laws in 12 hours. 2 days later, at Susan's summons, the in-laws gathered. On the living room sofa sat Susan, Jessica, and even Kevin's older brother, Mark, and his wife, Linda, all with grim expressions. The atmosphere felt like a courtroom convened to interrogate a criminal. I was in the kitchen, silently cutting fruit, listening to the conversation drift from the living room. So, how much did the repair estimate come out to? Linda asked cautiously. As if on cue, Susan let out a dramatic sigh. Don't even ask. The dealership said it'll be well over $2,500. The rear bumper, the sensors, everything has to be replaced. It's not like our Jessica wanted to get into an accident. Someone just hit her from behind. It's just terrible luck. Wow, that's a lot. Can't you just process it through insurance? At Linda's question, Susan's voice rose an octave. That's what I've been saying. But that Helen is being so difficult. Instead of helping with the accident, What do you think she did last night? She canceled the credit card without a word. The card? You mean the family card? Yes. The one Jessica uses, and Kevin uses for emergencies. I don't care if her name is on it. How could she cut off her in-laws' lifeline overnight without any notice? I'm just speechless. I carried the fruit platter into the living room. The cold air hit me, but I remained composed as I placed the platter on the coffee table. Susan, have some fruit. I'm not in the mood for thanks. You, sit down. We have a lot to talk about. Susan didn't even glance at the fruit, her eyes fixed on me. As I took a seat at the edge of the sofa, her interrogation began. Helen, why did you suspend the card? Do you know how humiliated Jessica was at the department store yesterday when it was declined? The manager and the clerks were all watching, and it didn't say, limit exceeded, it said suspended. She called me in tears. I suspended it because it was necessary. The efficiency of the assets I manage had declined. At my dry, corporate response, Susan's eyebrows twitched. Efficiency? What efficiency is there to consider with family money? That card is like our family's emergency fund. It's in your name because you're the one earning. But is it all your money? Once you married into the Miller family, what's yours is ours. As long as my name is on the account, the legal responsibility and management authority belong to me. I simply took action to prevent further misuse. Frustrated by my firm stance, Susan nudged the older daughter-in-law, Linda. Look at this. A daughter-in-law arguing about names and authority in front of her mother-in-law. Is she in her right mind? Linda looked uncomfortable and offered a weak smile. Mother, I'm sure Helen has her reasons. With the accident repair costs on top of everything, she's probably feeling overwhelmed. Overwhelmed by what? It's normal for a sister-in-law to have a little accident borrowing a car. Jessica, you say something. Tell them how shaken you were. Jessica clung to Susan's arm, putting on the most pitiful face in the world. Mom, please don't. Helen has a right to be angry. She's upset that I crashed the car. Helen, I'm sorry. It was just bad luck that the accident happened. I'll figure out the repair costs somehow. But can you please just reactivate the card? I don't even have money for daily expenses right now. Watching Jessica pretend to apologize while ultimately steering the conversation back to money, I scoffed internally. Just then, Kevin arrived home from work. Everyone's here. Mark, Linda, good to see you. Surveying the tense atmosphere, he slid onto the sofa next to me and whispered, Honey, relax your face. Mom is furious. Just tell her you'll turn the card back on, and we'll get through this. Okay? I ignored my husband's cowardly whisper and looked directly at Susan, who began to shout again. Kevin, you need to get your wife in line. Her sister-in-law has been in an accident. She's a mess physically and emotionally, and instead of comfort, she cuts off the money. Are you trying to disrespect this entire family? I am not disrespecting you. I am stating a fact. The accident cannot be processed through my insurance. My bombshell statement silenced the room. Kevin grabbed my arm in a panic. Helen, what are you talking about? I told you I renewed the insurance last week. You told me to believe you renewed it. I called the insurance company myself this morning. To save money, you signed up for a spousal-only policy. Jessica was never legally qualified to drive my car in the first place. Susan's face turned ashen. Jessica's mouth hung open, speechless, while Kevin broke into a cold sweat and averted his gaze. What does that matter? An accident is an accident. We can just push it through our insurance anyway, can't we? Susan blustered. I shot back coldly. Are you asking me to commit a crime, Susan? Why should I take responsibility for an accident caused by an uninsured driver? And Jessica, you were so busy shopping at the mall yesterday, weren't you? The accident location happens to be the entrance to the mall's parking garage. I will absolutely not let this go, not after you lied and wrecked my car. You disrespectful little... Are you talking back to me now? Susan shot up and pointed a finger at me, but I remained seated, not blinking an eye. I'm not talking back. I'm protecting my rights. From this day forward, I am excluding my in-laws from all assets registered in my name. The car repairs, the credit card bills, you can handle them yourselves. I will not be spending another dime. Susan clutched her chest, pretending to collapse, and Jessica started to cry, calling out my name. Kevin tried to drag me outside, but I firmly shook his hand off and stood up on my own. Kevin, you have a choice to make. You can either continue to be a shield for this disastrous family, or you can be my husband. For the record, as of today, I am resigning from my role as your family's wallet. I opened the front door and walked out with my head held high. Susan's screams and Jessica's sobs echoed down the hallway, but my mind was calmer and more peaceful than ever. Now, the real show begins. I whispered to myself, breathing in the cold night air. I could feel it in my bones. The curtain was rising on a revenge driven not by emotion, but by perfect calculation. Well past midnight, the door to the silent bedroom creaked open. My husband, Kevin, crept in and sat on the edge of my bed. I wasn't asleep. I was sitting up straight, reading a book. After a long moment of gauging my mood, he began in a wheedling tone. "Honey, you're still awake? We need to have a serious talk." "There's nothing to talk about. Go to sleep," I said, not even looking at him as I turned a page. Kevin scratched his head, reached for my shoulder, then quickly withdrew his hand at my icy response. "Well, the thing is, I need some cash next week. Could you spare about $3,000? My fingers froze at the corner of the page. After a moment of dead silence, I slowly closed the book and faced him directly. $3,000. What do you suddenly need that for? It's just, this amazing project opportunity came up. It requires a small initial investment, but if this pans out, I can pay you back for all the trouble I've caused, all in one go. A friend gave me a solid tip. It's a sure thing." His explanation was as vague and full of hot air as it had been for the past 10 years. I leaned back against the pillows, crossed my arms, and asked, "What happened to that smart farm project? You took $3,000 for that, too." "Oh, that one fell through because the other company suddenly went bankrupt. Just a bit of bad luck. But this time is different." Instead of answering, I picked up my phone from the nightstand. Kevin swallowed hard, his eyes filled with anxiety. "What are you doing at this hour?" "I'm going to look at your bank account transactions. Did you forget I have your online banking credentials saved on my phone? I need to verify." Kevin's face instantly paled. I expertly opened the banking app and scrolled through the last month's activity. My finger stopped at one particular name. "Kevin, who is Sophie Kim? You sent her $800 on the 15th of last month." "Who?" "Oh, Sophie. She's a friend from college. She was going through a really tough time, so I just loaned her some money. She's a guy, but has a girl's name. So, it's easy to misunderstand." He forced a laugh, but my sharp gaze cut through his lie. "Is that so? Then how do you explain this CCTV capture of you and this Sophie at a cafe on the first floor of the downtown mall yesterday? I didn't hire a PI or anything. It just happened to pop up while I was tracking Jessica's shopping movements. Your college friend is quite pretty, I must say." Kevin's lips began to tremble uncontrollably. Without another word, I got out of bed and walked to my home office. He scrambled after me. "Helen, wait. Listen to me. It's a misunderstanding. She's just a friend." I closed the office door and turned on my computer. I opened a folder buried deep on my desktop, labeled Risk Management. Inside, a perfectly organized Excel file detailed Kevin's transaction history for the past 5 years, evidence of his affairs, and the flow of money to his family. "Kevin, come over here and look at this. This is your last 5 years." The screen displayed a timeline filled with red, blue, and yellow entries. Red: affair discovered and disappeared. Total 4 times. Blue: large sum requested for business investment. Total 8 times, approx. $75,000. Yellow: apology letter, kneeling and begging. This is the last time. Total 12 letters. I scrolled through the file dispassionately. You're remarkably consistent. When you get caught in a red affair, you offer a blue apology. When things quiet down, you make a yellow request for money. Once you get the money, you start a new red affair. This isn't an accident. It's a pattern. And I've decided to terminate the pattern. Kevin stared at the dense record of his sins on the monitor and stumbled backward. "You're crazy. You're actually terrifying. You've been digging into my life like this? Is this how a married couple should act? And is cheating and lying for money how a husband should act? Every time you said this is the last time, I updated the last line of this file. And today, with Jessica's accident and your request for $3,000. This file is now complete." I clicked on the final file in the folder, Divorce Agreement and Asset Division Petition. It was a flawless document, already reviewed by a lawyer. "Helen, please. I was wrong. I really ended things with Sophie. Just let me succeed with this one project." "Shut up. I'm tired of it. Whether you've ended things with Sophie or not is no longer important to me. I've decided to write off the bad debt that is you from my life." Kevin finally showed his true colors, slamming his fist on the desk. You are one cold woman. Fine. I was sick and tired of living with a machine like you anyway. Let's get a divorce. But you better divide the assets fairly. You know, I have a stake in this house. With a cold smile, I hit the print button. The printer whirred to life. Don't delude yourself. The mortgage interest on this house, the credit card debt you racked up under the guise of living expenses, and all the money your mother and sister spent, it will all be deducted from your share. I've done the math. You actually owe me more money. If we go to court, you'll walk away with nothing. That's a guarantee. As Kevin stood there, his face drained of all color, unable to utter a word, I calmly collected the printed documents and put them in my bag. The money is gone. And starting tomorrow, the code for the front door lock is changing. I've already packed your things. They're in the living room. Take them and go to your mother's. Go buy your sister that Lexus she thinks she's so suited for, and have a great life. I watched Kevin's retreating back as he left the room without a single word of apology. I took a deep breath. The shackles of my in-laws and husband were finally starting to come off. There were no emotions left. Only a perfect, final settlement remained. On a weekend morning, in the quiet before the storm, I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. A new Excel file appeared on the brightly lit screen, titled Household Restructuring and Risk Elimination. For me, this wasn't just balancing a checkbook. It was a surgical procedure to excise a rotten limb. The first tab was named Credit Card Misuse Analysis. I imported all the family card transaction data from the last 6 months and began categorizing it. The numbers didn't lie. As the data populated, the screen filled with colorful bar graphs. Blue husband, Kevin. Bars, golf clubs, unidentified cash advances, monthly average, $3,200. Pink sister-in-law, Jessica. Department stores, luxury boutiques, Pilates, classes, high-end spas, monthly average, $2,800. Purple mother-in-law, Susan. Hotel brunches, expensive health supplements, various social club fees. Monthly average, $1,800. Gray, Helen. Convenience store lunches, public transit pass, work-related books. Monthly average, $350. The screen was a riot of vibrant colors. While the gray line representing my own expenses, the one funding all of this, was so low it was barely visible. I clicked on a specific entry with a bitter smile. A $350 charge for a dinner for two at a hotel restaurant on a night Kevin claimed he was working late. And the $1,200 luxury bag Jessica bought the day she borrowed my car. They were so busy elevating their league with someone else's money. I coldly opened the second tab, Fixed Expenditure Structure. As I scrolled down the list, my gaze grew even colder. The in-laws' HOA fees, my sister-in-law's cell phone bill, my husband's personal life insurance premium, and even my mother-in-law's biannual health checkup fees, all were being automatically withdrawn from my salary account. This family was nothing more than a colony of parasites, latched onto me for survival. The third tab, Accident Cost Settlement, displayed the repair estimate for the Lexus, $2,400 for bumper and trunk replacement. With insurance out of the question, this cost was left squarely on my shoulders. However, next to the amount, I clearly typed, Billed to Jessica Miller. The fourth tab, Termination Scenario, was the blueprint for my escape, which I had been meticulously planning for the past year. 1. Phase 1. Total suspension of family credit card. Complete. R. Phase 2. Cancellation of all automatic payments related to in-laws and husband. In progress. 3. Phase 3. Retrieval of Lexus and initiation of title transfer. 4. Phase 4. Filing for divorce and lien on marital assets. Just then, the office door flew open and Kevin burst in. With disheveled hair and bloodshot eyes, he glanced at the laptop screen and yelled, "What are you doing? What are all these numbers? Why haven't you turned the card back on? Mom just called. She's freaking out. She was humiliated at the grocery store when her card was declined." Humiliated? How is it humiliating to finally live within your means after mooching off someone else's money? From now on, your mother can use the allowance you give her to buy groceries. Where am I supposed to get money? Are you insane? Are you really going to be this ruthless with your own husband? What did our family ever do to you to deserve this? I slowly lifted my head and looked Kevin straight in the eye. My gaze was so cold and hard that he instinctively took a step back. What did you do? You mean you're cheating and lying? Your sister wrecking my car and buying luxury goods with my card? Or your mother insulting me, saying I wasn't in the same league as my own car? Actually, let's put all those emotional things aside. My conclusion is this. Kevin, your family is the single most significant liability in my life. Therefore, as of today, I am terminating this investment. Right in front of him, I moved the mouse and logged into the Consolidated Auto Payment Management website. I checked off the 13 auto draft items one by one. The in-laws' HOA fees, Kevin's insurance premium, Jessica's phone bill. You're really crazy. If you cancel that, who's going to pay my mom's HOA fees? What happens when Jessica's phone gets cut off? That's a problem for you all to worry about, not me. My finger clicked the Confirm All Cancellations button. A pop-up appeared. Your request to cancel 13 auto payment items has been processed successfully. Kevin stared at the monitor with a vacant expression. Phase 2 is now complete. Tomorrow, I'm coming to get my car. Tell your sister if the key isn't on the shoe rack, I'll be reporting it stolen. Helen, are you really going to go through with this? How can you do this to family? So, I was a dutiful daughter-in-law when I was the money spigot, but now I'm the enemy because the money's gone? I guess that was the league of family you were talking about. Now, get out. I have to execute the next phase. After Kevin stormed out, fuming, I took a deep breath and picked up my phone. The missed calls from my blocked mother-in-law and sister-in-law had already surpassed 99. I didn't check a single one. I just quietly placed the phone face down. When the flow of money stops, we'll see who the real family was. I brought the Excel window back up. The time for Phase 3 reclaiming my stolen assets, one by one, was fast approaching. Monday morning, 10 a.m. I was in a conference room at work, reviewing a critical capital expenditure proposal. My phone, set to vibrate, began to dance frantically on the table. The name mother-in-law was lit up on the screen. I didn't even glance at it, continuing to flip through the documents. The phone didn't stop vibrating until the meeting was over. The barrage of calls and texts that morning was pure chaos. Susan, 8 calls. Kevin, 5 calls. Jessica, 2 calls. By lunchtime, my inbox was on the verge of exploding. Helen, why aren't you answering? I was so embarrassed at the supermarket when my card was declined. Check it now. The hospital bill was also declined. What is this nonsense? Call me immediately. Honey, I'm at the gas station and the card won't work. I already filled the tank. What do I do? Unblock it, quick. Helen, I was trying to pay for lunch with my friends and it said suspended. It was so humiliating. Please, fix it now. I chewed on a piece of salad and read each message, one by one, with the detached eyes of someone reading a stranger's diary. I didn't reply, didn't even leave a read receipt. At 2 p.m., on Susan's 21st call, I finally answered. Are you out of your mind? Why haven't you been answering your phone? Do you have any idea how long I've been waiting at the hospital billing office? Susan's shriek pierced through the receiver. I held the phone an arm's length from my ear and replied coldly. I was in a meeting, and please lower your voice. Susan, I'm at work. Lower my voice? My daughter-in-law just blocked my hospital payment, and you expect me not to lose my mind? Unblock that card right now, or I swear I will march down to your office. I suspended it. It was no longer necessary, and you should get your own credit card. I am managing my finances. What do you mean, not necessary? Paying for your mother-in-law's hospital bills is unnecessary? You have a lot of nerve talking to me like that. You should ask your son for hospital fees. I have no legal obligation. If you're done, I'm hanging up. The moment I hung up, a call from Kevin came through less than a minute later. Helen, have you lost your mind? You hung up on my mother? And what am I supposed to do about you embarrassing me at the gas station? The owner was looking at me like I was a thief. Do you know how humiliating that was? If you were so humiliated, you should have paid with your own money. Why are you yelling at me when you were trying to get gas with someone else's card? I thought we agreed. We each earn our own and spend our own. We're married. How can a married couple do that? Don't you know I'm busy preparing for my business? You've been preparing for 3 years. In that time, you've had a grand old time drinking and golfing on my dime. It's time you take responsibility for your own life. As of today, I quit being your family's shield. If you're out making money, who's going to do the housework? Do you think the laundry and cleaning get done for free? Running the vacuum cleaner once a week is a $3,200 a month job? Your math is certainly unique. I have nothing more to say, so I'm hanging up. After hanging up on Kevin's tirade, a tearful call came from Jessica. Helen, why are you doing this? I had to borrow money from my friends to pay at the cafe. You know, I'm trying to find a job. How could you do this? Job hunting? You said that last year, and the year before. And yet yesterday you managed to spend $1,500 at the mall. Do you job hunt by buying luxury handbags? By the way, Jessica, I'm coming to get my car. Return the key by tomorrow morning. If you don't, I'll report it stolen. Helen, that's so mean. You used to be so understanding. How can a person change so much? I haven't changed. I'm just finally setting things right. The parasitic life of sucking my money dry ends today. Near the end of the workday, another call came from Susan. This time, her tone was practically a threat. Helen, you will come to our house immediately. We're having a family meeting. Your brother-in-law's family is already here. Come, apologize, and reactivate the card. I'm not coming. I have work to do. Work is more important than a family meeting. When your mother-in-law summons you, you come. Where do you get off arguing? Have you no sense of duty? As I packed my things, I spoke in a very low, firm voice. You're right, Susan. I've decided to stop observing my duty. Everything I did for you was out of consideration, not obligation. You were the one who mistook the consideration for an entitlement and lectured me about my league. I'm going to live a life that suits my league, so I suggest you live one that suits yours. I could hear Susan gasp on the other end, but I hung up without a second thought. I put my phone deep into my bag and drove not home, but to a hotel I had pre-booked. In the quiet of the room, I checked my call log. 99 missed calls, 67 text messages. But among all those messages, not a single one asked if I was okay or offered an apology. It was only demands. Give me money. Unblock the card. I opened my laptop and typed. Incident, financial cutoff, and reaction analysis. Result, no remorse. Continued anger and demands. Conclusion, zero potential for human improvement. Final action, delete relationship. I took a sip of cold water and looked out at the city lights. The chain that had bound me for over a decade was finally breaking. All that was left was to place the crushing weight of a reality they had never experienced onto their own shoulders. On Wednesday evening, I sat by the window in a quiet cafe near my office and opened my laptop. The divorce agreement and a list of assets were neatly displayed on the screen. After several days of sorting things out while staying at the hotel, another call came from Kevin. This time, I didn't avoid it. Helen, where are you? When are you coming home? Kevin's voice was thick with anxiety. I took a sip of my cold coffee and answered nonchalantly. I'm out. I have no intention of going home. So just state your business. Mom is losing it. She says she's going to find you and settle this once and for all. Why are you being so childish? Are you really running away from home just because Mom said a few harsh words? I'm not being childish. I'm tidying up. Things have been a tangled mess for too long. Tidying up what? What is there to tidy up in a family? We can just go back to how things were. I let out a cold laugh at Kevin's cluelessness. Back to how things were? Back to when my annual salary was $60,000. But your family was spending it like it was $100,000? No, thank you. I'm going to explain this once, so listen carefully. First, the Lexus. I pay the monthly loan and the insurance, so it's mine. The $2,100 in repair costs from the accident your sister caused? She will pay for it herself. Where is Jessica supposed to get that kind of money? I'm unemployed. How can she possibly come up with that? Can't you help out when family is struggling? Help is a courtesy, not an obligation. I have no courtesy left to offer someone who lied about meeting a friend, took my car, went shopping at the mall, and crashed it. Second, the family card. While you all were racking up $8,000 a month, my own expenses were $300. From now on, you can all get your own cards and spend what you earn. It's no longer my concern. I could hear Kevin's ragged breathing over the phone. I didn't stop, driving the final nail in the coffin. Third, your pattern. 3 affairs. Dozens of lies. 6 instances of extorting money for investments. I have evidence of everything, including the money you sent to Sophie and the hotel charges. So, my conclusion is divorce. What? Divorce? Are you serious right now? You're going to throw away our family over a few dollars? It's not because of the money. It's because you people are the very definition of a liability in my life. Goodbye. As soon as I hung up, as expected, my phone started ringing frantically. It was Susan. The second I answered, her shriek erupted. Helen, have you lost your mind? Divorce? How dare you be the one to mention divorce to my son? Yes, Susan. The papers are all prepared. Fine. Get a divorce. But don't you think you're walking away with a single penny? You know whose name is on this house, don't you? You'll leave with nothing but the clothes on your back. I don't want the house. However, I will be taking every single asset that is registered in my name. The car, my bank accounts, my retirement funds, my stocks, they are all legally mine. Susan let out a derisive laugh. Stocks? Kevin was the one managing those. What right do you have to take them? If my name is on the account, it is legally my property. Kevin may have managed it, but the principal all came from my salary. I put up with it because I considered you family, but the exploitation under the guise of family is now over. Susan's voice began to tremble with rage. You will regret this. We tried to teach you how to respect your elders, and now you're throwing legal terms at me. Exploitation. Who exploited whom? You bought your health supplements and maintained your lifestyle with my money. Your daughter went on shopping sprees with my card, and my son cheated and played golf with my money. I may have looked like a fool to you, but I was just keeping records. I'm coming to get my things tomorrow, so you'd better have the door open. What things? You'll leave with nothing. If you touch a single thing that belongs to me, I will have you arrested for theft. Mark my words. The moment I hung up, a flood of messages came from Jessica. Helen, are you really getting a divorce? What about the car? Can I keep using it? I'm repossessing the car tomorrow. The repair bill is $2,100. You will pay it. If you don't, I will file a lawsuit. You've changed so much, Helen. You're scary. I haven't changed. I was always like this. You were just too blind to see it. Enjoy living with your brother and mother. Jessica replied with a furious, "You're so mean." But I didn't respond further. I turned the phone over. The once hot coffee was now cold, but my mind had never been clearer. The explanations are over. All that's left is for everyone to live according to their means. I closed my laptop, packed my bag, and stood up. The relentless vibration of my phone buzzed from inside my bag. But I didn't look back once. The night sky was starless and dark, but for the first time, I felt a sense of liberation, as if I could finally breathe. My first and last act of cold consideration was this: a perfect, clean break. Saturday, 10 a.m. I parked in front of the house that felt both familiar and alien. I opened the trunk and took out 3 empty boxes I had prepared. When I opened the front door, the entire family, Kevin, Susan, and Jessica, was sitting in the living room with grave expressions, like judges waiting for my surrender. I treated them like they were invisible, putting the boxes down without a word. It was Susan's thorny voice that broke the silence. So you're back. I trust a few days away from home have helped you realize your mistake, making a mess of this household, and now you finally crawl back. She remained seated, arms crossed, as arrogant as ever. I didn't even look at her, as I replied flatly, I'm here to pack. I'm taking all of my things. You're really leaving? Kevin shot up and blocked my path. Honey, calm down and think about this. This doesn't have to end in divorce. I said I was sorry. I said I'd do better. I sidestepped him and headed for the master bedroom. Kevin grabbed my arm urgently. Just listen to me. Divorce isn't a child's game. Do you really think you can live without me? There's nothing to listen to. Let go of my arm. My decision is made. I've confirmed that you people are the biggest mistake of my life. What decision? You can't just decide on your own. How can you do this without even discussing it with your husband? I roughly shook off his hand. Then, with ice in my eyes, I stared him down. I didn't decide this alone. Your years of incompetence, deceit, and shameless behavior, all neatly stacked up, drove me to this decision. This is the outcome you brought upon yourselves. Susan rose from the sofa, her voice booming. Helen, I'm warning you for the last time. There will be no divorce. Do you want to bring shame upon this family? I'll be too embarrassed to show my face in public. I let out a hollow laugh and looked directly at her. Shame? What changes if I leave? In fact, you should be happier living peacefully with the son and daughter you cherish so much. You can live off your pension instead of my money. You disrespectful brat. People will point fingers and say my daughter-in-law ran away. That's a problem for you to handle. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not your daughter-in-law anymore. I went into the bedroom, opened the closet, and began packing my clothes and belongings into the boxes. Jessica, who had been hovering nervously by the door, spoke up timidly. Helen, what about the car? The Lexus. Can I keep using it? I have plans tomorrow. I stopped folding a shirt and slowly turned my head to look at her. My gaze was so cold that Jessica swallowed hard. Did you deposit the money for the repairs? $2,100. Well, I don't have that kind of money right now. I'll pay you back when I get a job. Then you can't use it. We're in the middle of a divorce, and you have the nerve to ask to borrow my car? And let me be clear, you will never touch the steering wheel of my car again for the rest of your life. That's so mean. It's your car. What's the big deal if you get it fixed and let me borrow it? You're being so petty for family. I roughly sealed a box with packing tape. If you're in a hurry, take a taxi, or earn some money and buy your own car. We're not family anymore. We're strangers now. I was a fool to give you everything before, but now, don't expect a single dime. As Jessica bit her lip in frustration and retreated, Kevin entered the room again, begging shamelessly. Helen, please, just one more chance. I'll really change this time. I'll cut things off with Sophie for good and become a new man. The word really has appeared in my records of your promises 14 times in the last 3 years. You squandered every one of those chances yourself when you went to hotels with Sophie and used my credit card. I don't have a single second of a chance left for you. While Kevin stood there, speechless and stunned, I moved the boxes to the living room. Susan stood in the way, pressing down on them. You're not taking these. You used these things while living in this house, eating and sleeping on my son's dime. They belong to this family. I scoffed, pulled a bundle of documents from my bag, and fanned them out in front of her. These were all purchased with my salary. Receipts, transaction records, purchase dates, it's all organized right here. Need more proof? I'm a financial controller. It would be strange if I didn't keep track of where my money was going. Susan stumbled back in shock. You're terrifying. You've been living your life preparing for this? You're the ones who made me prepare. The car key is in my pocket. The title, the loan payment account, everything is in my name. You think you benefited from this marriage? You're sorely mistaken. I showed her the last page of the documents and added coldly. Over the last 5 years, I poured $380,000 into this household. HOA fees, your hospital bills, Jessica's shopping, living expenses, all of it. The fees I paid were more than a typical person's rent. In reality, I was supporting all of you. Susan and Jessica, their faces pale, stared at each other. I picked up my boxes and headed for the door, delivering one final blow. You say you put up with it for family? Last year, when I was hospitalized for exhaustion, did any of you visit? Only my own mother stayed by my side all night. You were all too busy eating out and shopping with my card. And you, Kevin, were on a trip to the mountains with Sophie at that very moment. Kevin's face turned ashen. A heavy silence fell over the room. I opened the front door and declared with finality, "It's over. My lawyer will send the documents. Just make sure you sign them. And I've already called a tow truck for the Lexus, so don't even think about touching the car parked out front." You'll see, Susan screamed after me. I'll make you realize just how hard it is to live alone. I paused at the door and gave a mocking smile. I think you'll be the ones finding it hard to live alone. I'll enjoy watching from afar how you crumble now that your money source is cut off. I'm finally going to live like a human being. Slam! The sound of the door closing marked the end of my 5-year ordeal. As I loaded the boxes into my car and started the engine, I saw Kevin's devastated figure in the rearview mirror, standing helplessly in front of the house. Without an ounce of pity, I pressed the accelerator. An hour later, I arrived at my new apartment, a place I had purchased in my own name last year in anticipation of this day. I opened the window on the 15th floor, and a cool, refreshing breeze rushed in. I took out my phone and checked off the final item on my termination scenario file. Phase 6. Independent residence and full settlement. Complete. It all went according to plan. Perfect, down to the last cent. Divorce wasn't a battle born of explosive hatred. It was the final settlement, the decommissioning of a broken system. Without a single error in my calculations, I had perfectly closed the ledger on them. I stood in the middle of the empty living room and quietly closed my eyes. The noise of others and the heavy burden of responsibility that had filled my home for 5 years receded like an ebbing tide. In its place, a serene peace began to rise. The setting sun cast a warm glow on my face. The fingers that once calculated numbers for others would now move only to care for my own life. From now on, my personal ledger would no longer record someone else's luxuries or lies. Instead, it would be filled with the simple pleasure of a fragrant cup of coffee enjoyed alone, the excitement of looking forward to tomorrow, and the most precious asset of all, an uninterrupted, whole self. The most powerful message from this story is about how to stop exploitation in the name of family. We are often taught that we must understand and endure because it's family. But the decision Helen made, as cold and clinical as it may seem, was actually the most passionate and honest survival strategy to protect herself. Kindness shown to those who take sacrifice for granted will always return as poison. Instead of crying, pleading, or fighting emotionally, Helen accurately assessed and separated her assets and rights, forcing her tormentors to face reality. The in-laws' immediate shift from entitlement to outrage the moment the money stopped proved that their relationship was based not on love, but on utility. The true league of a family isn't determined by the car you drive or the bags you carry, but by the mutual respect and responsibility shown for each other's lives. No one will treat you as precious if you do not value yourself first. I hope Helen's journey of righting a broken system and boldly trimming away toxic relationships serves not just as a satisfying story, but as a profound lesson for all of us to reevaluate the relationships in our own lives. If you were in Helen's shoes, how would you have reacted to your mother-in-law's comment about your league? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Your subscriptions and likes fuel the creation of more sharp and satisfying scenarios. Thank you for being here today.